your place of birth the same as where you spent your early childhood?
Yes, I was born and raised at Christian Island, and stayed there until the end of my uh, elementary school years.
What was it like growing up in Christian in the 40s and 50s?
I don't remember too much of the early 40s, but I remember starting elementary school when I turned 6 and not knowing a single word of English. After that, everything's a blur. Of course, we didn't have television then, but we still managed to listen to the Toronto Maple Leafs on battery-operated radio on most Saturday nights. Electricity we didn't have until mid-50s, I believe, and we had to pretty well make our own entertainment. Like some of the kids my own age, we made model boats. We used to sail them along the shore quite often. We made our own sleighs, slide down in the wintertime, and I think we started off with bob skates as well. Yeah, and in the spring and summer months, we always helped our grandparents with the gardening, and they used to grab us by the scruff of the neck to go and weed the garden, and of course again in the fall to harvest the vegetables that were grown. It was pretty quick. You know, even though you're involved with a lot of homemade sports. Like you probably heard Coco Ball. That was played a lot in those days. A lot of fun.
Why did you end up going to high school in Buffalo?
It's a complicated story. It has to do with membership in the community. My dad, even though his family belonged, we're living on the island, the government comes along and says, you have to be status. Now, I don't know whether status was with us in those days, but certainly when a person comes in from another community, he either has to be adopted into the community and be a member. And that didn't happen in my case. My dad, it took him a long time to be accepted into the community. Consequently, membership is tied in with funding. And when it was time for me to go to high school, there was no money for me. But I did have a relative, my Aunt Priscilla was living in Buffalo, and she offered to take me in and go to school in Buffalo. That's it.
So your profile suggests you spent a good part of your life in the military. What made you decide to make the Canadian Forces a career?
The fact that I was taught a trade that I liked and enjoyed doing, I was given a chance to travel and get paid a salary 24 hours a day, 165 days a year, 30 days paid vacation, had a lot to do with it. But in those days, I looked good in the uniform. No, the military always made me feel part of the family. And as long as you pulled your weight, everything, and shared the load, everything was good. Teamwork had a lot to do with it.
You practically grew up wearing a military uniform your whole life. What did you do in the military that was so attractive?
Well, I was fortunate to be in a service trade. After a 6-month basic training course with an infantry unit in London, I was sent to the School of Signals in Kingston, where I took the radio and telegraph operator course. And I remained an RNTG op until I was discharged from the Army after the initial 3-year engagement. When I rejoined, I became a communications operator in the RCAF. I showed you the uniform back there. And the only difference was the addition of teletype element into the trade.
So, did you experience any racial discrimination in the military?
Sometimes there were certain remarks made referencing racial background, but you know where it came from, and it was done in jest. So it didn't bother me. Everybody did it, and it never was meant to be serious. So everything was done in fun. I never occurred to me to retaliate in situations like that.
I see that you spent some time with the United Nations peacekeeping forces in Africa. What did you do in the Congo, Egypt, and Israel with the United Nations forces?
I mentioned communications trade. And in all cases, in the Congo, in Egypt, in Israel, we maintained communication facilities within the theater. And of course, there was always that link back to Canada. In theater, the message traffic usually consists of operational messages, while Canadian traffic was more of an administrative nature. They looked after our needs, promotions, paperwork, and stuff like that. That was done in Ottawa at Canadian Forces headquarters.
You retired from the Canadian Forces while still at a fairly young age, certainly too young to really retire from the Air Force. What did you do when you left the CF?
I did a number of things. I had no specific destination. Work was work, as far as I was concerned, is to keep myself busy. One of the first things I ended up doing was working as a office manager at a men's residence in Ottawa. Men's residence meaning that this particular facility looked after the issues of men, particularly men that went through the residential school system, and there were a lot of them there. When an opportunity to work as a health surveyor in the tribal council here in Rama, I jumped at the chance, which brought me closer to home. And of course, being home, I ran for council. I got into council and did other things that were interesting to me.
So, being in council and taking part in self-government negotiations for your community, what do you think self-government will do for your community?
It's been some time since this subject came up. And I think at the very minimum it means having jurisdiction over the selection of leadership having a say who becomes an Indian and who does not, the ability to enact laws designed to improve your community, and having a say in how the community is developed economically without having the federal government looking over your shoulder. Very basically, I think that's my concept of self-government.
Do you have any other interesting projects you're working on you want to tell us about?
I showed you a picture earlier. That's one of my pet projects. Being of military background, I think it's natural that I get pulled in that direction. But I think it's important. Since we lost our last veteran a number of years ago, that we should honor their sacrifices and their achievements through a physical monument like that, so that we're reminded each and every day when you pass by that certain individuals within our family and neighbors that they spent some time in the military and fought for some of the freedoms that we enjoy today. Another significant project that I'm working on is what we call the Huronia Lookout site.
Why did you get involved with a project like Huronia Lookout, and how is it going to benefit Clinton and First Nation people?
Well, it's been said that Huronia has been called the cradle of Ontario's history. And we just want to expand on that to include the significant role that the Aboriginal peoples played in the opening of Canada West. I don't think we know that much of each other's culture, so this facility will take us back to the classroom, and we start from scratch to learn from each other so we can better understand each other. I guess maybe I should tell you that once the icon is put together, there'll be a statement, something to the effect that says, "Together we grow." I think that's appropriate, and it suggests the icon, the design of the icon, consisting of a European and a First Nation person, about to portage across two bodies of water, signifies two cultures working together cooperatively towards a common purpose. And I think it properly reflects the icon.
What is the purpose of building a Veterans Memorial on Christian Island?
I think I've already stated that we don't have any more veterans from that era. That is the World War I, World War II, and the Korean era. And we need to keep alive their memories of their sacrifices and achievements. The memorial will serve to promote the role that First Nation citizens also, can we break that? I lost track here. I'll back up. We don't have any more veterans from World War I, World War II, or Korea alive today. The memorial will serve as a reminder that First Nation citizens also rose to protect this country against those who wanted to take away our freedoms that so many fought so hard for before. And we need to promote the role our chiefs and warriors played in defending the country that came to be known as Canada.
By having something that represents or reminds you of war conflict in the community, are you not actually glorifying war?
I think at one time that would have been true. More recently, the intent is to honor those young men and women who left the comfort of their homes to fight in far-off lands. And again, we need to remember their efforts.
Do you speak the Ojibwe language, and how important do you think it is to be able to speak your language?
Yes, but I understand it more than I can speak it. After over 35 years away and not speaking my language, I've forgotten how to carry a conversation in Ojibwe, but I'm trying to learn it and speak it as often as I can. Our language is the most important part of our being. To learn other languages besides our own helps us to understand other peoples and cultures more readily. But more importantly, our own mother tongue is one that rounds out the most basic part of our identity. If we lose our language, we are losing part of ourselves.
Besides a variety of ongoing projects, do you have any interests or hobbies?
I used to like fishing, and I really enjoy the outing whenever I get a chance to go. I used to hunt as well, but my old hunting buddies are not around anymore. I like reading, and I've gotten hooked on genealogy. I'm trying to put together a family tree simply because no one else is doing it. Besides, it's nice to know where you came from.
When do you hope to really retire?
Officially, I'm retired. But it's always nice to know when you get up in the morning which way to turn your feet. So I guess that means I'll always be doing something while there's some energy left.
What advice do you have for the youth of today as they move forward in their adult years?
In this electronic age, the world is open to everyone who wants to explore it. But you want to make preparations ahead of time. That's the only advice I can give.
Yeah.
Is there anything, now that you've heard the answers, is there anything that's come up that you'd like to know more about? Obviously, you won't be prepared for those questions. We'll see what we can do. I was wondering, you were talking about in the United Nations, well, you went to all these different countries. I was just wondering what it was like to be in those places. It must have been unusual to be so far away.
It was, at first it was unusual. And certainly being close to the equator, and how, you know, the weather was fairly hot. It wasn't out of the ordinary to wake up in the morning and the weather and the temperature is always already in the hundreds. So our dress almost all the time were shorts and short sleeves and cotton.
And you worked in communications. What exactly does that? What do you? Obviously, it's communicating with other units or other.
Yes, we weren't in one location. There were detachments of military in different parts of the countries where we were. So we communicated. We had a network of communicators in each of these locations to find out, for one thing, whether, you know, they're being overrun or whether they're having problems or whatever.
So it's sort of the group that knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what happened? We had observers in the field that reported back to headquarters, and that communication went through us. Yeah, we were the pigeons of the communications field. that carried messages.
How long were you there? How long were you?
The rotation is usually 6 months each. So I was in the Congo for 6 months, and again 6 months in Israel and Egypt.
Those are three very different places.
3 very different places, 3 very different climates. When I was in Israel, it was close to the Mediterranean, and of course the climate is a little different as well, almost the same as here, but no snow. Even though they did, they were selling postcards. I don't know when the snowstorm happened, but in fact there was snow in Lebanon. It was a beautiful career. I enjoyed it. There was a variety in almost every day. I think it was never boring. And you get to see and read the message traffic that comes in. Something happens somewhere. You're in the picture almost instantly. Yeah.
Would you recommend that kind of career for people today?
Yes, I do. In the first 3 years, I signed up for 3 years initially, and I guess that's where you build up you decide whether you're going to like this kind of life or not. I wasn't quite prepared to make a decision at the end of the 3-year period. I got out for a short period, approximately 9 months, I guess it was, and then that's when I made a decision to come back in, and I stayed for the duration. I couldn't go any further because I've reached my compulsory retirement age. I had reached my compulsory retirement age, and there were no extensions.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little more about the lookout and about how it's going to be, like how is it coming along, how is it going to, what the form it's going to take, maybe for people who don't know.
Well, it's situated just south of the town of Menacing, or the village of Menacing, and it's the site is going to be situated on top of a hill overlooking the Anawasaga Valley. I think once you're up there, you can almost see Georgian Bay. In fact, I seen a picture that says, or someone said that you can see Christian Island from there on a good day. But you can see Collingwood, you can see the Blue Mountains, and somewhere in the bushes is the remains of Fort Willow, and you'd be able to see that in the spring and probably late fall. Fort Willow was established during the War of 1812. The 9 Mile Portage is not far away as well. It comes in from Kempenfelt Bay, which accessed Georgian Bay and the Anawasaga River. So there are a lot of, historically it's significant in that many plants and fauna are there as well, and we want to make sure that people are aware that First Nations came to that area specifically to pick those special plants and for medicines. what I wanted to, and the reason we're part of the committee, is to establish a facility where we can tell our culture and learn, have people learn about what we're all about. The chair of the committee was holidaying in Britain a number of years ago, and he was told, or part of the tour, when asked, that we didn't have anything significant to show our tourists in Canada. And he says, that's not true. He says, you have the First Nation, the Aboriginal peoples in Canada, and we don't know nothing about them. Why don't you bring them to the forefront, highlight their role in the development of Canada? So got on board and do the little bit that we can to highlight some of the things that we want to lay claim to doing.
Jog in you guys? I don't want to take over. Is there anything you'd like to add that maybe as we've been talking, maybe you remember things or anything else?
I drew a blank too. This is why I have paper here to jog my memory. Yeah. No, I think in addition to the last question that was posed to me, I think it's important to look beyond the first hill. You know, walk up to the hill, look around, and see what you want to see. Maybe you want to go to the next hill. And this is why I said if you want to make that trek, there's a lot of preparations to do. If you stay home, you'll never know what's on the other side of the island. In our case, the other side of the island.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It was great. I'm going to. I always tell people when I turn the camera on and when I turn it off. I'm about to turn it off, so if there's anything you'd like to add, now's the time. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. So if anyone has anything really cool to say in a minute, let me know and I'll come